Ravens wide receiver Rashod Bateman's cryptic Twitter post on self-worth. What's it mean? That and more is what I have coming up in this episode. It is the 15th of April and a Tuesday, taping this just before 10 a.m. and just before the Ravens annual pre-draft press conference, of course, conducted by John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta. Sarah and I over on The Vault will have full instant reaction coverage to that, so go check it out. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group, and let's chat about the significance or perhaps insignificance of Rashod Bateman's latest cryptic tweet at 8:32 a.m. as you see here from the label on the 15th, again today, Tuesday, 9 days out from the 2025 NFL Draft, and Bateman coming off a stellar season. And when I say stellar, for Rashod's perspective, it was stellar because it marked a breakout season. He was fully healthy. He was an effective wide receiver too. He took the top off defenses at times. He continued to show his silky route running abilities. He was pretty reliable, aside from those two that were in his hands that led to Lamar Jackson's interceptions, which he only had 4 on the year, but that's beside the point. Rashod was a reliable, effective wide receiver too. And when you look at a tweet like this, while this could be about anything, it could just be talking life principles. It could just be talking about what's on his mind at this point in the offseason. Or it could be, look, I signed an extension and a contract that at this point makes me one of the best bargains in the entire league. And he is a bargain. It was a 2-year, $12.8 and change million contract extension, right? It keeps him in Baltimore through 2026. His base salary this upcoming season is $3.75 and change. For 26, it'll be $6.5 million. And when you look at wide receiver twos around the league, yeah, he's a bargain. Statistically, 756 receiving yards, 45 receptions in that breakout season for 2025. And again, the big important part for him was 17 games, 14 of which were starts. When you think about the foot injury early on in his career, when you think about the lack of availability, some of the off the field drama that's taken place with Rashod, 2025 was a breath of fresh air. And he proved himself last year. At the same time, if this is indeed about contractual value and his discontent for where things are at right now, let me just take you back to a few things that he is on record for saying a year ago when this extension was announced. He told Glenn Clark from Glenn Clark Radio that he was caught off guard by this. He was surprised by the extension. Meaning, based on what he had put on film and put on tape, I think we can all agree the extension was a big surprise to all of us. I felt like Rashod's future after this past season was anything but set in stone, at least in Baltimore. He's a former first-round pick that hasn't lived up to the expectation of what comes with that type of selection. Right, when that type of draft compensation, that type of draft capital is used, you think you're signing up for a wide receiver 1. I'm not saying he doesn't have that upside and that potential, but he's been a late bloomer, all things considered, for what they spent on him back in, the 2021 draft. He's all of a sudden gearing up for his 5th NFL season. And again, he's under contract for the next couple of years. And yes, he is a bargain. And hey, if he stacks another season the way that he did this past year, with over 700 yards receiving, with over 40 receptions, with a career high 9 touchdowns. By the way, he had 4 his previous 3 years combined. So this was a breakout epitomized. But it's just one season. And if he's already feeling like he needs to go back to the drawing board here, to the negotiating table, I'm going to call his bluff if I'm Eric DeCosta. Because the Ravens took a bet They gambled on Rashod for 2024. Now, was it a very low risk, medium to high level type of reward gamble? Absolutely. And the value of the contract says exactly that. This is a wide receiver, too, that's going to be making $3.7 and change, again, $1 million as a base salary. He's a cap hit of just 5.1 and change. Last year's cap hit, under 4. That will go up to 7.8 and change for 2026, assuming that he's still on this deal and they don't rip it up and write up a new one. You never know if he goes off this upcoming season. Eric DeCosta, who's to say? They might not do that. And then he'll, of course, right now, as the current structure of this contract states, he's set to hit unrestricted free agency in 2027. So again, it's the days of cryptic posts and trying to interpret what these tweets, what these Instagram stories mean. And quite frankly, this could very well mean nothing. Could just be talking about a life motto to live by. But Rashod's track record hasn't exactly, it begs the question, because he's often taken to social media in different ways to express his feelings about where things stand with his occupation. I was happy to eat my words. I was happy to be wrong last year. I didn't sense, I didn't project a Rashod Bateman breakout season. He proved me and others wrong. Again, the types of numbers that he put up, given what the Ravens have on the books for him right now, and given the struggles, most of which were due to injury that he sustained and dealt with the previous 3 years, gives you great optimism about him moving forward. But he has to go ahead and prove that and continue to reaffirm and reprove, I'm sure, to himself that he's capable of doing this. I'm sure he doesn't have to prove it to himself. Although, when you go back to December and his first multi-touchdown game of his career as a Baltimore Raven, he had this to say.
I think I've shown myself that I am what I say I am. And, hopefully that I've showed the Ravens fans, this organization, Coach Harbs, Mark, whoever, that I am a playmaker. Earning Lamar's trust, teammates' trust, it's been big.
I was look, he was feeling himself at times throughout last year. And yeah, he is who he is. And I'm happy for that. Lamar feels the same way and talked a little bit about last season, how it took a little bit longer for Rashod to get going with injuries and other things that plagued him up until last year's breakout.
Each other, us just trusting the play call, and just connecting with our chemistry, because years ago we was out in Cali and we was working, and it was right after the season. Our chemistry was there. We both of us had injuries, in the past, so our chemistry would die off some point of the season. But this year we've been healthy, and it's just been how it's been going, how it should be going. Just from going back to camp and just off-season work. Like I said, I was training with him in Cali, a couple years back. Us just grinding out here on the field, just seeing what type of player he is. I just knew he gonna be one of those guys. It's just over time it's gonna happen eventually, and it's happening now. Perfect time, I believe.
I don't think anybody's ever questioned this guy's potential. The potential and the upside has always been through the roof. It's, can he put it all together, and can availability become a calling card of his? More in-depth numbers on what led to last year's breakout. Okay, these are NFL Pro stats here as tweeted by Sleeper Ravens. Air yards per target with a minimum of 70. 14.7. That was good for second among pass catchers. Yards per reception with a minimum of 40. Also good for second league-wide, 16.8. Deep throw, which is 20-plus air yards, catch rate with a minimum of 15 targets, 50%. That was good for fourth, and he was tied for sixth with 9 receiving touchdowns. And again, that blew away what he had done the previous 3 years with a combined 4. He was exceptional last year, and he was a big piece of the puzzle for the Ravens, which is why when he and Zay went down in that divisional round game, even though it happened prior to that, it was a big deal. And that's why I think the signing of DeAndre Hopkins, while it may not end up being a needle mover, if it has to become a needle mover, you like that player at that price. Going back to last month from free agency. If that wasn't enough, the highest percentage of receptions for a first down or touchdown, look who led the league with a minimum of 70 targets during the 24-25 season. Rashod Bateman. 77.8% of receptions for a first down or touchdown. He's a chain mover. He's a vertical threat. He's a reliable route runner. Yes, I'm sure some of you have a couple of those images burned into your brain that led to interceptions that were in his breadbasket last year. But for the most part, this was a player that was highly impactful for the Ravens. And so while this video is not to in any way demean or knock Rashod down a few pegs as we try to interpret this tweet, it is a good conversation about self-worth, about contractual value, about organizational belief, because that's what Eric DeCosta and his front office had and have in Rashod. They did not need to extend him. They took a gamble. It was a calculated gamble, and so far, it's paid dividends. Their hope, our hope, is that continues. And if it does, Rashod's going to get a payday that's absolutely warranted. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. And finally, there was some decent weather, mid-60s, not a cloud in the sky this past Sunday in the Baltimore area. So I popped outside into my carport here where I backed the Bronco in and did a nice thorough washing, had the Masters on in my ear. It was an awesome day out there. At Preston Automotive Group, Bobby Baltimore subscribers get access to 2 exclusive offers. One of those is $500 towards a new or pre-owned vehicle. You just go into the dealership, let them know I sent you, and they're going to give you a $500 credit towards a new or pre-owned vehicle. On top of that, number 2 is when you buy 4 tires at Preston, you'll get 50% off your alignment. You've got over 2,000 vehicles to choose from. Home delivery is available, which is cool. And they ship across the country, by the way. Finding your next ride has never been easier. When you shop with Preston, you're joining a trusted team serving Baltimore and beyond. I've been driving around in my 2023 Ford Bronco Sport since October of 2023. It's spacious. Tilly, it fits perfectly in the back. I love it. It's a smooth ride. I got Sirius XM that's built right into the Bluetooth system. What else? I like tailgating with it. In the winter, you got the heated seats, heated steering wheel, you name it. I love my Bronco. Cars cost less with Preston. You can get started today by visiting PrestonMotor.com. That link is for you in the show notes, or just simply scan the QR code that you see in the upper right-hand corner. There it is right now. And I just want to say continued thanks and gratitude to Preston Automotive Group. They have a great team. Consider getting involved with them today. They have an awesome mobile servicing as well. I love that feature online. Go visit the show notes to learn more. More on Bateman, and I would love to get your thoughts on Rashod, maybe your interpretation of this cryptic tweet, and just your thoughts on him going into year 5 and how you look at his overall career thus far. Kurt Bankert, former NFL backup quarterback, tweeted this out last month, that he recorded a video of all 190 touchdown passes of over 20-plus air yards from last NFL season. And the one thing that popped up to him, at least enough to tweet this out, was Rashod. He referred to him as a massive sleeper in fantasy football. And again, you go back to the statistic from NFL Pro. He was in terms of deep throw catch rate with a minimum of 15 targets, and that is 20-plus air yards, which is exactly what Kurt studied. He was 4th with a rate of 50%. So this guy brought you that vertical threat, that big play bait ability that was showcased last year, the chemistry between he and Lamar, which was in question this time last year. I remember talking about that ad nauseum. While there were a couple certainly kind of head-scratching moments between the two of them, overall, it was a successful season for Bateman. And again, I think the biggest takeaway here is if that continues to stack, should he stack yet another season as he did last year and one-up himself, he's going to get paid. He's going to get rewarded for it, and he will be deserving. Here he is in off-season mode on the West Coast, putting in the work, the upside, the potential. His fit in Baltimore really has never been questioned by me. I've questioned plenty of other things. The maturity at times early on in his career with some of the social media antics. And of course, really more so than anything else, the availability or lack thereof. But again, starting to stack. 16 games played in 23 when he was behind Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers for that matter. And all 17 games played, 14 of which were starts in 2024. Keep stacking, Bate. Here he is getting up some shots. No, he played high school ball. He's got a nice little jumper here. Was not familiar with Bates' jumper. How about the little flick of the wrist? He's not jumping particularly high, but he's an athlete. He is absolutely an athlete. And those are my thoughts on the latest regarding Ravens wide receiver Rashod Bateman. We are 9 days out from the 2025 NFL Draft. Sarah and I are so pleased to yet again be presenting to you our annual Mega Cast, which is a live stream marathon draft party on opening night. That is Thursday, April 24th. We're going to start at 7 o'clock, go up until midnight. It is a true marathon, and it's going to be a who's who coming through this channel. We are working on fleshing out the guest list as we speak. Hopefully you guys will mark your calendars and spend part or maybe all of your Thursday night with us. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support and for sponsoring this channel dating all the way back to October of 2023. If you haven't already done so, I would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. It is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. It is free to join, and there are over 700 members in here talking literally all sports all day long. So much so, I just added a couple new channels within this entire channel, like a Maryland Terps channel, like a Washington Capitals channel. General, everybody chats about you know what. There was a lot of golf. I mean, you name it. There was some golf chatter in there over the weekend at the Masters, which was just a fantastic finish. But it's a cool little community that's growing, and I look forward to continuing exactly that. Go find the link in the show notes and consider joining today. Appreciate you guys on the way out. If you could, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things that really help this channel grow. And I will catch up with you soon here inside the Bobby Baltimore side of things.